How are you? How are you? Karibu sana mgeni wetu. If this is your first time to this channel, we are happy to have you. Thanks for keeping us warm. This is Let's Go Abroad. Today we look at seeking asylum in European and in North America. This video has been inspired by one of my clients. She is a blogger. She writes a lot in the online space. And recently, those of you who are Kenyans know what has been happening to people who are doing activism online, who are educating the masses online. The government has been targeting them, abductions, and using the police to silence them, and all those manner of things that are meant to make people fearful. And I was like, well, I can do a video on seeking asylum just to educate one or two or more people, yeah? So now, seeking asylum in a foreign country is a right. So what we have is that several countries came together and they agreed that any individual who feels persecuted, who feels living in their own country is a threat, can seek asylum in another country. Seeking asylum means when you are on the other end, it's like the government cushions you from so many uncertainties and guarantees you the basic rights for protection. Now, there are many Africans who, when they are tortured, they go to Europe or they go to North America and specifically Canada. Because these countries have got a good budgetary allocation, I would say, for someone who wants or who desires to seek asylum in those countries. Okay? So what you need to do first, the burden of proof lies with you. It is you to prove that you are not safe in your own country, that you are persecuted in your own country. So that is like the first layer of proof. The second layer of proof you need is that to show that the government is not able to protect you, or to show that instruments of government or instruments of power are being used to persecute you. So if it is police who are being used by your oppressors or your abusers, then that is a very clear evidence that you are not safe in your own country. And seeking asylum is a right, and you can be given asylum in any country that you choose. So what you do, number one, is that you collect all the evidence that you need around. Will there be newspaper cuttings? Will it be Facebook articles? You print, yeah? You print them. Is it obvious that you have filed with the police? You print that evidence that you have. Then you travel to your country of destination. Either if you're going to the Schengen zone, it's called a short stay visa, or if you're going to a place like Canada, it is called a visitor visa. Then when you land at the port, you declare that you are seeking asylum. You will be shown a place to stay. They have accommodation spaces for people seeking asylum. You'll be given the documentation, the paperwork to fill. You'll be accommodated. For most countries, you'll be given the basic features, the basic necessities. For personal hygiene, your medical care is going to be taken care of in most of the countries. And then they're going to open, I'll call it a case file, but in different countries, they have got different phone names for it. But it's like a court sitting down to listen to you as you make an asylum claim. And then you see there is what you will write down. You see when you land at the airport and you say that you're seeking asylum, the paperwork that you fill, you'll be asked why you're seeking asylum. For some countries, you write your reasons for seeking asylum at the port. Others just allow you to fill the paperwork with your biodata. Then they give you another date, mostly within 72 hours, to listen to you. And then when they have listened to your verbal story, they ask you to write, to put that into writing. So it depends on where you're going. And then they take care of you. There are some countries like Germany which will give you €5 per day for taking care of you. There are some countries like Canada where you get some training for some basic courses, training for language. Some even allow you to go to high school. and then after that, they now listen to your asylum case. Okay. Now, when you are in that country seeking asylum, you'll be given accommodation, you'll be given food, and then they'll start hearing your case. For most countries, they say takes 6 months. For Luxembourg, they take 6 months. For Canada, they take not Canada, Germany, they take an average of 1 year. Canada, it is anything 1.5 years going forward. Okay. So, what are the bases or the factors that can make you seek asylum? Number one is persecution by your own government. This is political persecution. With that, you can seek asylum in a foreign country. Number two is if you are persecuted for your religion. You know, everybody has a right to have a particular belief in terms of existence of a deity or lack of it. And if you believe in existence of a deity, how you express your worship is a right. No one should take that from you. Like I saw someone who is in this church of Awur, it's called Prophet, Holiness and Repentance Ministry. And this is a person who was getting a lot of exchange from people who he was like, how do you say, like a defender of the Holiness and Repentance Ministries, and he was also much against him. Then he decided to leave the faith, yet he was a key defender of that religion in the online space. When he left the faith, it is like his former church members were so much against him, and he has sought asylum in Europe on the basis of he is not safe. Because now when he left that church, he started opening up so much about the church and feeding the masses online what they wanted to hear. And because he was an insider, many people consider his information to be true. So when he left, he did not feel safe, and that is something he has used to seek asylum. And then the third one is if you belong to some social groups that are not so widely accepted in your social context. Like in our country, members of LGBTQ and members with fluid sexuality, they are not so accommodated in our community. And there are many times that their lives can be under threat just because of expressing their own sexualities. Okay? So if someone is like in that group, they can be given asylum in another country. What they need to show is that there is persecution because of that sexuality with evidence. Evidence can be newspaper cuts. Nowadays, a lot of evidence is online, so online media, or even SMSs, texts, phone calls, and stuff, yeah? And then the next thing they need to prove is that they have failed to get state protection. So you must prove the persecution, and then you also prove that the state is not able to protect you. Other people who qualify to get asylum are victims of domestic abuse. They could be male, they could be female. But if you just complain of domestic abuse, yes, the persecution is there, but you must show that the state is not able to protect you from the abuser. Either they are using the police to harass you, that is one. You can show maybe a case file that you filed in court to show that this person should not come close to you, but the people who are supposed to enforce that, and that is the police, did not do what they are supposed to do. That is what you need to show, evidence of that. And you can seek asylum on those bases. So there are some rules and the regulations that you have to follow for most countries. And the first for America and Europe is that you have to be in their territory. So you see how you get into their territory. For Canada, you can declare to seek asylum when you report at the port, or you can do what they call inward filing, where you get inside, you spend a few days, and then you file a case for asylum. In Luxembourg, you can file at the border when you enter, or when you are inside, you can go to any police station to seek asylum, and they will they give you a place. If you report in the evening, they give you a very decent space to sleep, and then they'll take you to the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is the one that processes all cases of asylum. If you have accommodation already, like you have a sister or a brother, then you will be allowed to stay where you are staying safely. And then the lax government will take you to school to learn the language. The language is called Laksarumbabish. Hey, that word, yes, is a native language. They take you to school to learn that language as they process your asylum claim. If you go to Germany, the same. Germany will give you a place to learn the German language as you integrate, as they process your case. Okay? So that is it for asylum. But I would like you to know that so many things have changed in the last 2 years for so many countries. Like for Canada, because of so many people, we are called economic immigrants, people who have gone to look for greener pastures using that pathway. They are limiting the number of people from some countries, and Kenya is one of them. But what you need is a very watertight case. Know your story before you leave Kenya. Carry any evidence that you need from Kenya, not in soft, but in print. And guard those documents the same way you guard your ID or your passport. Then know your story in full from the dates. ABCD happened this date, even if it is a police police case that you filed. Remember the date that you filed that case and the time. Do not allow anybody to twist your story, because the day you will go to case, although you will be given legal representation, and for so many provinces in Canada is free, not unless you want fast expedition of your case, that you hire either a lawyer or an immigration consultant, but most of the provinces give you free service. And in big towns like Toronto, those lawyers are quite available and they give you free service. Never twist your story, and know your story back and front. Know your story all the sides, and do not allow anybody to confuse you. Okay? Now there's a lot that has changed also in Canada. Like, in Canada before, not in Canada, in Germany, if like you give away your passport, they would not deport you. They would not allow anybody to travel without a passport. But recently, the president, the lead in the Ministry of Home Affairs, they've said now they have the powers. Like, you can be deported by the government even without a passport, and you'll be labeled a deportee. So, in Germany, it's hard for them to administer somebody who doesn't have a very convincing case. Okay? Luxembourg is one of the countries which offers the best services for asylum seekers. Oh, you are taken to school. Your children will go to the government school even before your case is determined, which will be free for you. Here, the accommodation is very decent even for families, and it is free. But the thing is, they have put some watertight procedures for Kenyans, for Ghanaians, and for Nigerians, definitely because of abusing that pathway. But if you have a genuine case, there is no one who will deny you seeking asylum. Okay? The thing that I would share with you is that if you're planning to seek asylum, ensure that you follow the rules and the regulations. You will be given a document that stipulates what you cannot do in asylum and what you can do. Understand it like the way you understand your most important document in life, okay? Do not seek asylum, then during the waiting time, you travel to Kenya or to your home country. Maybe to bury somebody, or Africans, we are attached to burial ceremonies. If you travel to your home country, the day they'll come to determine your PR. By the way, your case you can have a positive outcome out of your case, but after getting a positive outcome, getting a PR is another process. If they normally do a background check. If they do a background check and they discover you traveled to Kenya in that period, your PR will be nullified and you will be deported. So be cautious, observe their rules and their regulations, but yes, seeking asylum is a legitimate way of moving abroad. If you decide to use that path and you're going alone, psychologically be prepared to be separated from your children for some time and from your family as you seek safety the other side. If you're psychologically prepared and you're okay with that, then you can follow that route. Anyway, that is it for now from my end. If you have a question, if you have an inquiry, we have our details in the description box. You can always reach out to us. Yeah. Nice having you. Kindly hit the notification button. Like the video if it added value to you or you think it will help somebody else. And consider subscribing and joining our family. Until next time, it is a bye-bye for now.